Hi, my name is David Carmody and I'm a fourth year student in animation and visual effects at MTU. My FYP is called The Last Lament and is a short story which will follow the warrior and show his state as he goes through the 5 stages of grief from the loss of his family. He pleads for his prayers to be answered by the dragon god which protected his village long ago, but to no avail, but as the story unfolds we see him reunited with his son. The project began as I was experimenting with a new style I was curious about from popular animations that use this style. I wanted to create a basic interaction between two characters, the warrior and dragon, which would then be presented to my classmates to see if anyone else was interested in developing the idea. I created a basic model of a warrior character I had in mind and proposed this idea to my classmates, and this is when I met my two teammates, Connie and Rebecca. We immediately bonded over our similar likes and interests in the project. The project began by developing our story in all aspects, researching characters, their backgrounds, and script writing, as the original idea for the FYP was too small for our group. Through weekly meetings, our team met online to discuss for countless hours and worked together until we landed on a script we were all happy with and proceeded working. Our team was kept organised from Google Drive set up by Connie and group chats in Discord, which made sharing of work easier to work from home during the pandemic. I began by developing sketches for concepts which would be part of the foundation, along with Rebecca's sketches for our scenes, as the project involved using techniques to use both 2D and 3D animation. It was important to plan our scenes effectively with the placement of 2D elements in our 3D scenes. We then divided the workload to create the storyboards for our 5-minute animatic to give a clearer insight into the project we wanted to deliver. I began developing the dragon character over numerous weeks while still developing my skills in 3D modeling and toon shader, as it is a process my mentors were unfamiliar with and online knowledge at the time was limited due to our use of the software Maya. While this was developing, I applied any techniques I learned along the way and was able to model and rig the characters in another project, which showed the potential for this project but also the work involved as it is a timely process. After this, I was advised to develop more on the warrior character from our weekly meetings with mentors. I remodeled the warrior and improved on items such as clothing and pieces to add more detail and character to him, as the original was only a beta model and did not truly represent him. As previously mentioned, the project involved using 3D, toon shader and 2D artwork from paintings in Photoshop. The process involved blending the mediums to create this style as we didn't have sufficient knowledge of Blender, which would have been ideal, but Maya did have its capabilities. For scenes like the forest, I would take the props such as the cabin that Rebecca made, or the cave and all its elements that Connie made, and began applying the toon shader to the meshes and bringing the original texture back and tweaked how the object and textures interacts with the light to create this style. During our development of the models and the scenes, it became a stressful necessity to finalize the toon shader, as there was a lack of belief in the final outcome of the project. Also during this time I took on the dragon rig to aid the team to ensure this project would be delivered on time. I was cautious of the issues that Connie was facing while she was working on the warrior, so I took this on board when I was working on the dragon. I first began by deleting all the control and weights that had been applied, so it was a step going backwards, but it was just to make sure that there was no issues going forward. I then applied and edited it to the original rig by adding in joints in areas such as the back legs and the mouth. I then proceeded to add controls to the dragon and make sure I was correctly parenting to avoid any further issues. I painted weights for the character. Areas of note that were a pain was especially the mouth. But I am grateful, let's say, for Connie for showing me the new techniques such as the eye controls, the set driven keys, and applied these to my rig. Once I was happy with the rig and no issues were arising, I did a little walk animation to ensure there were no problems, and I sent this to the girls to animate. As time was limited due to unforeseen events, communication issues and the learning curve in this project, and I myself, from working full-time along with college, did find the experience challenging, especially during the pandemic. But our team still pulled together in spite of it all and split the final work down to begin animation. The girls were great in assisting me with render layers and hugely helped with the render process. As time was an issue, I only had time to fix the lighting on the forest scene while the girls were animating their scenes in the cave. Due to time constraints, I could not help Connie and Rebecca with lighting of the cave, but before they left for Canada, we did have a face-to-face session to explain toon shader and lighting, but I am aware this wasn't applied in the final animation due to time constraints. For my scene, I began by blocking out the animation and my camera shots. Animation went smoothly and I really enjoyed the process. There were times I did have to edit the weights and I noticed some areas need polishing, such as the hands and the tunic following the legs. I then rendered out my layers and imported this to Premiere Pro, which I was then able to edit and use the transitions effectively. Overall, I'm delighted how far this project has come, and I'm happy with the finished piece. I hope you all enjoyed, and look, while there is consistencies with the scene regarding lighting and animations, I'm proud of my team and how we overcame the problems that we faced to produce this work. Issues to be outlined though that would have made things a bit smoother was obviously, look, the COVID issue. There was communication issues with our mentors and receiving delayed feedback. And also there was issues arising with accommodation, internet and meeting face to face when needed. But regardless of the issues, I'm proud of my team and for the work they have done. I'm proud of myself and my journey with this project, as it's been my passion for the last 12 months. And I plan to continue to work on this to make something what I envisioned all those months ago. Thank you for watching.